I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey and this is day 3 of round 1 of the playoffs of the Carcassonne Champions League 2025. Only 24 players remain, although technically 21, because we've had already a few eliminations this morning and earlier this week. But more about that you can probably already see on the page that you see the previous results. Now we're about to witness the match between Pakshe of Thailand and hydrobaby of Taiwan. A high-level encounter where the Thai master should be around a 60% favorite. They're looking in good shape right now. The rate's at 742, which is in the top 20 at the moment. And they have a higher peak rating as well. And I think a bit of a deeper understanding of the game. hydrobaby is still a solid player and a master themselves, at least formally. Now they're rated a little bit lower at a solid 644. Their most notable recent achievement is that they've defeated the reigning Carcassonne Champions League champion, StatMat. No, why did I say StatMat? Someone you know is the reigning champion, and hydrobaby defeated them in the group stage. So this means that they're capable of defeating anybody. And the format today is super simple. If hydrobaby wins, they advance. If they lose, they get eliminated. Best of 3. Samuelsson already waiting for the winner of this pair in the round of 16. You can look at the stats here a little bit. 73% win rate for Pakshe. 4,500 games of experience in just 2 years, actually. For Hydro, a few more years, also includes a couple of years with the national team, with the team of Taiwan, but fewer games played, only 1,600. So definitely Pakshe is playing the numbers game here, and they probably would have seen more patterns. And we also expect them to be playing a bit faster. Win rates are roughly similar, 68% for hydrobaby, although the win rates is not such a reliable predictor as the ELO rating is, because the win rates sometimes not only reflect your skill, but it also reflects your choice of opponent. Somebody who plays more tournaments could actually have a lower win rate because their opponents are stronger. So that's the situation here. We should be starting our best of 3 match in under minutes. Pakshe is online, Hydro is now online. The table has already been created. It actually has been created for quite a while. The Taiwanese player is eager to start. Hi Glavier, hi Played Mac, hi Napamai. Alright, so where's the game? We see that Pakshe is now online. Join. Start. As usual, do let me know in the chat who you're rooting for and who you think you're gonna win, which is not always the same thing. Taiwan currently has a more developed community, simply because Carcassonne has been around the block in Taiwan a little bit more than it has in Thailand. Okay, have we started yet? Nope, not yet. Pakshe is yet to join his game. And they suddenly went offline. That's interesting. So maybe a connection issue or something like this, or maybe they just saw their opponent's rating and they got afraid. The way the tournament's rules work is that you're allowed yourself a 15-minute buffer, and if you show up 15 minutes or more later, if you don't show up at all, you get a warning. And if you get 3 warnings throughout all the stages of the tournament, and then after the 3rd warning, no-shows come as automatic losses. Well, none of the players are anywhere close to that sort of a situation. But this has to be puzzling. I hope that everything is okay. Maybe some sort of technical glitch. Very curious what's going on there. Yeah, as you can see, they're purely Carcassonne specialists, so really big disparity with a number of other games played. With Hydro, I believe this was also the case. Well, a bit to a lesser extent, a bit more variety. Okay, Pakshe is now back online. Hopefully with a good connection. This is also a reminder to everybody who is just joining this that the tournament has pretty strict rules regarding timeouts. So basically, if you time out for whatever reason, whatever power outage, internet issues, your computer failed, doesn't matter, you still lose. So both players will be taking extra care to place all their routers in the best place in the house. We don't have ourselves a game yet, which is pretty interesting. I just want to check if Hydro is still online. I think there still are. Sometimes it could be that both players are simply waiting for each other without realizing it. So we're just going to be clicking that refresh button. Pakshe wins the contest for the cutest avatar. This is finally the start of the game. The first tile has been drawn. The Taiwanese player with the black meeples, meeples a 2-point road, has the starting advantage. Pakshe with a blue meeples, meeples a 3-point monastery. Hydro with a city is about to claim it. Some standard moves at the start. Definitely great tile for the Thai player. And Hydro's thinking about this one. So the standard move is, of course, to go here. I wonder if he's considering the other move. Well, there is like one sneaky idea that you could do. So if you go here, and then if somehow you get then a curve later, and then if your opponent happens to get a city plus road tile, such as an umbrella, then a situation may arise where they complete your city. But to be honest, I did not expect that he would do this seriously. I did not expect that he would actually do it. It's interesting move. I want to see how it progresses. It's definitely not standard. The standard is to open your city outwards to allow more tiles to be placed into the square, in particular the vertical splitters or giraffes, extenders. Those would be very nice, but now they don't fit anymore. Yeah, and also like the reason why I like placing the city the other way, well, it's not about what I like, it's also what's objectively best, but not by much, by a little bit. It's best. Is if you do happen to get a city plus road tile, which is exactly what black is hoping for, then if you get a city plus road tile, then you still get to benefit from it. You still get to continue your road and use that. Whoa, both players exchange some very interesting moves. So this one I can get. As you can see, it sort of kind of works out as black immediately gets himself a city plus road tile. But this move, to be honest, I'm kind of shocked. So to a usual player, it looks like a normal move. You add yourself 1 point to the monastery. What's the problem? But the problem is that's a mistake. So first of all, it kills off a monastery spot. Now, if you draw another monastery, the one nearby is way less potent. And second, you had such a lovely chance of starting to put pressure on this road square of your opponent. So this definitely has to be a misstep here by the Thai player. And normally I wouldn't make a big deal out of this, but for a player of their caliber, I'm really surprised about this opening imprecision. It is unlikely to make much of a difference as they get a decent tile anyway to score, start to loop road. And again, if you ask me, there's really only one move available, because first of all, there are 4 legal placements. We're not going to go to these squares, we're not going to help our opponent. So it's between this and this. Well, if you're going to go there, you might as well help your monastery. And of course, you have to meeple the 2-point road. You can't leave it to your opponent. Then you can start your 4-point loop, stuff like this. Hi, Ian. And this is exactly the move that has been played. After some deliberation, in the meantime, black builds up their city, also covers it up, making sure that an invasion with just 1 tile is not possible. In the meantime, blue gets a lovely but a rather inflexible tile. Can use it for scoring, just finishing a road, starting a new city is great. It has some downside. It leaves a 3-point road back for scoring, and it also provides a road end to black to use. So no ideal move here, so I guess we'll just have to live with this and go for the scoring idea. There are also some crazier ideas like going over here, turning the city cap that way, and then trying to set up some sort of city plus road move like this. He doesn't go for it. Goes for the first 3 points on the scoreboard in the game. Hydro with a scoring tile. Presumably looking to go here and start a new city, which is exactly what he does. Covers up his road from one side, still 1 tile short to get the job done on the other side. Pakshe with a scoring tile, some free easy points. Free 3 points. There are of course some other moves available. He can go here for 2 points, then start disrupting this road. He can go here, start putting pressure on the city, but 3 points are 3 points are 3 points. Typically, there's no reason to sacrifice many points in the opening. Already 6-0 advantage. Hydro places the only legal placements for the quadruple city tile that doesn't actively hurt himself. And Pakshe with another great tile has a chance to build up his monastery like this. Yeah, it's actually a very powerful configuration to have when you have these 2 road ends in your monastery, because then you get to either keep claiming road ends and build around like this, or you can simply get straight lines in a curve and get an easy 5-point road, which also completes your monastery. Hydro tries to complete his road, will now be disrupted by Pakshe, I presume. A move here looks reasonably strong, delaying the recovery of that meeple, and also building up his own city, which could turn into a threat. Because black has cities open on the left, it is less likely that black will spend 2 meeples into attacking blue's city. So whilst black is building up his stuff, blue could build up his stuff. He chooses a different route, which also makes a lot of sense. He started a new city and also makes this square vulnerable, looking to either block or invade on the next turn. Hydro now with a road monastery. Several good moves. First of all, he can go here for 5 points, which are net 4 points because he's giving a point to his opponent. But it very nicely controls the square. It also gives him chances to delay the monastery. The other option was going here, but from this option I didn't really like how it creates a potential for a 4-point road and a city restriction. Instead, black goes for 3 points and covers up this square, but this cover up can be double-edged. Now, of course, there are many tiles that fit into that square, but if Pakshe manages to build up here and here, although he's not going to do it with this particular tile, then if he builds here and here, then this square can be permanently blocked, and it's certainly an opportunity that he will be exploring in his next couple of moves. It's actually quite difficult to have access to that square. The only reasonable way I see is maybe getting 2 points for a road here, and then trying to get a curve, something like this. But even if you draw a 2-point here, then you're more likely to use it with your monastery. So this is actually pretty safe, unless Pakshe goes here for 2 points and tries to expose a threat. No, he does not. He goes for the highest scoring move, which is typically what you want to do in the opening. Not only does it score 5 points, it also controls this lovely 3-point road, which blue is more likely to benefit from than black. And also, this monastery makes the city safer, because Pakshe can now not really productively place a tile that goes here, because he would be building up blue's monastery. So that's what I mean when I say that blue is controlling this square. Either blue gets a point and it's much easier for him to recover the meeple here, or none of the players put anything here, and then blue just builds up at his leisure whenever he happens to draw lots of Doritos. And there are still 7 of those remaining in the deck. Hydro finishes a 7-point road, using the road end provided by Pakshe several moves ago, and drops a farmer. And that is an ambitious farmer because it is worth exactly 0 points at the moment. There are many green squares on this farmer, so cities could be added. There are also a couple of cities already commenced. Speaking of commenced cities, this one's under attack, and Hydro decides to play quite the defense. He didn't like simply prolonging the city directly, because it would still give the chance for a reinvasion or a blocking attempt. But when he does like this, it's actually a really strong move, because first of all, he's threatening to just draw a city cap, cover up from the left side, and then there will be 2 giraffes and 3 city splitters that fit into that square. So that's 5 tiles. It's almost guaranteed connections, like 97% or even more. So the best that blue can do is probably to start obstructing that square, actually. Maybe just a straight line going there. It's really not such a bad idea. You know, you limit your opponent's 2 meeples. Yep. You put a pressure on this other guy from your opponent. Looks like a very strong move from the Thai player. And then he'll be looking, whilst there's a bit of a backlog for Hydro, now that Hydro will not be able to draw regular city caps and will need to wait for a little bit longer, it will be our time to catch up on the scoreboard. I think I misspoke. I'm surprised that the game is proceeding at quite a leisurely pace. Pakshe is definitely taking their time. Hydro is doing so a little bit, but Pakshe more so. Now, plenty of decision, actually. And look at this. Instead of getting himself a meeple back, he goes aggressive and he just simply restricts the meeple of black. Now, that is very smart because both players are suddenly short on meeples, and then ideally, you really want to build in such a way that you can benefit from monastery squares, field squares, new cities, stuff like this. Hydro now draws a dagger, and we get to find out that the block of blue was, in fact, an accident. But it need not be an accident. Just some better tile draws to fit into that square. That was all that was needed. So Pakshe must have been frustrated, because like the most common outcome is that you get to finish your city, and at the very least you get to threaten a complete block. He didn't even get to threaten a complete block. It's something that of course is expected to happen at times. Now this tile is so difficult for black. For blue rather. So I guess you still do this. You go for this sort of pattern. That looks nice. There's still plenty of Doritos to do that. Instead, he just drops it near his opponent's monastery, and he sort of kind of makes it harder to complete. So the purpose behind this move is as follows. If Hydro gets this tile that he now does, then suddenly this square is vulnerable. And this could potentially allow blue block 2 black meeples and meeple just 1. And that way he will be getting a majority on the field. Well, not a majority. Okay, so here's the plan. Like, does this, we lose 1 meeple, this guy loses 2, right? And then we find a way to get into this field, and then we overrun this field, and then we grow it. Maybe something like this. We need to start with the meeple majority first. The issue with this move is that it is not a complete block, but a 50-50 block is really good enough. It's about as good as you're going to get against some really strong players. Instead, he simply pre-scores, which makes sense. I think his plan is to actually invade this square, which I wouldn't do, because it is not guaranteed that a giraffe tile is going to go here. It is quite possible that these 2 cities are going to be separated, in which case the block of the square is kind of futile, because this guy here is already worth a lot. Yeah, that's how good my math is today. But trust me when I say that's a lot. Pakshe with a road monastery. Now, a regular monastery, looking to probably start stacking. It's a really strong tile. So going over here for 5 points, setting up easy 2-pointers to get himself a meeple back. That's one option. Another option is to go here, but then again, the same issue. If we spend too extraordinary an effort limiting this square, then we allow our opponents too easily to get to triple city and separate. Still all 3 of those in the deck. But Pakshe now with a scoreboard lead, and green just started a risky-ish road. Green didn't, black did. So what do we do here? A 5-pointer makes sense. I know that I guess you're supposed to like take 2 points for an octave or something like this, but in reality, I keep losing my train of thought for an nth time, and I'm not liking it necessarily. Sort of the pace of the rhythm is kind of lulling me to sleep a little bit. The pace of the game. Four points for Pakshe and a lead on the scoreboard. Also a nice indirect continuation of Blue City, which immediately is going to materialize over here. Here, black with what has to be a severe mistake, or does it have to be? Wait. Oh, this is actually fun. You know, it looks like a saving move, but in fact, it is a form of a blocking move. And the reason why he can afford to think about this is because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 curves have gone out. So we're only halfway through the game, but every single curve has gone out. And that's why this square is actually not that easy to fill. So you can still place daggers here. But look at this now, Pakshe cannot defend. So normally your automatic move is to go here, right? And to hope for one of the curves. But there are no curves, so instead he ignores this square as he should. He is trying to finish this city. He's also putting a block on this square, making it a bit more vulnerable. Hydro. Now he needs to find the best move. It's actually not that hard to find the best move in this situation because you already started this idea last turn. So all he needs to do is simply continue what he started. Because if he doesn't get those meeples blocked and he just spent a tile, well then that's just tragic. I know his situation is not great and maybe he wants to spend a bit more tiles on scoring rather than blocking, but 2 meeples is too good. 2 meeples is like 12 points. And then ultimately there are going to be fields because those green squares are not going to stay as they are. Hydro with a splitter tile. Still not sure about their decision, but I'm really struggling to find an alternative move. Are they thinking here? That would make much sense. Are they thinking just dropping like this on their field? No, they go the proper blocking route. It's a very lovely find that all 9 curves have gone out, which is quite counterintuitive at this stage in the game, and there's nothing that remains here. Horse style for a hydro. Not a very spectacular way to use it, simply just get some meeple back, which also makes this city a little bit more vulnerable. On the other hand, if not checked, it could get potent real quick. And look at this hydro with back-to-back splitter tiles. Pakshe starting a new city. Hydro could, in theory, go here and shorten that city and score 4 points, but then this would bring it a bit too close to completion. I really don't want to be doing that. And that's why he starts a new city on what is currently his field. That's also one way to get an advantage, is get a lot of city caps and then try to grow your field. The reason why early farmers like this, as awkward as they may seem, in many positions are like nice and flexible, is simply because they don't always get blocked and you can sometimes change the tiles with which you're trying to build them. So what I typically like to do if I start a new city, I try to figure out which tiles would my opponent block and can I induce a block if it's advantageous for me. Pakshe 16 points ahead on the scoreboard. This one's really a tricky tile. He simply used it for a discard, but a couple of other reasons as well. He now makes it a bit harder for the city to get finished because this means that this guy cannot really go here. He needs to then get something. I don't even know what he needs to get because he can't invade through this square. Only a horse tile can fit there. Well, he can draw some sort of connection like this, which would only bring him 3 points to the field. Yeah, he probably needs to invade at some point. That would actually be quite strong. And I would also need to invade really, really soon. Pakshe. With the last starting tile, notice that there are none of those remaining, and this will impact the blocking for the rest of the game quite severely. But then also, do you really care about starting tiles that much? And if the answer, I think you don't. Wow, that was quite the move. So he's gonna block himself and he's gonna block his opponent. I guess it is possible to maybe meeple something here and then try to sneak in all the way like this. And that's actually a really interesting move. Hydro gets bailed out by the deck. Instead of a splitter, they draw what was the most high prob combo. One of the 6 remaining at the time. City caps to the field. Pakshe now with a monastery. Looking to put some pressure on Hydro City here. But even if black loses a meeple here, he's 5 points ahead and multiple meeples ahead. Surely it's something that he can afford. But just because he can afford it does not mean he should buy it. A regular piano for Hydro. Simply decides to take 9 points field. Yeah, that move makes sense. I'm not sure if you want to be dropping a farmer on that move. We are giving away a 4-point hero, but turns out that we aren't. Hydro with a horse tile. I wonder if they have alternatives other than 4 points. And then they probably want to be going here at some point or here, trying to either attack or threaten the block of the city here. So black sacrifices 5 points, which I think is way too much. I think the best move for black was just to score. Like, what's wrong with scoring? And now blue scores. And also blue scores in a rather smart way, kind of tinily restricting this field and not allowing these two fields to unite. The total value of point, of course, is the same because there are no shared cities in between the fields. But if you manage to prevent your opponent from uniting the field, you actually are doing great, because then you can, since your opponent has split their farming meeples into 2 places, then you get to fight and win in one of those places, which matters more because then you get to have more meeple concentration in that area. So whenever your opponent has 2 fields, you can typically invade one and then ignore the other, which will also exacerbate the problems with the field. Hydro with a straight line. Looking to maybe drop a farmer, I was gonna say, but he has farmers already. Like, if he were blue, he would have amazing moves. Farmer goes here, or this goes here, or he drops a farmer regardless, because there are only 9 tiles remaining. I wonder, like, we were watching from the start, but how did this game just whiz by? I feel like nothing much really has happened. And Hydro with a city cap tile, are they gonna go for it? I don't think they can. Yeah, that's the sad part. Blue is now massively ahead, because this 4-point sacrifice really didn't play well. So first of all, he ended up making blue's city bigger by 4 points. That's already 4 points. Second, well, there's some other considerations. Hydro with a dagger tile. Looking to try and create the threat of the completion of the city. Fortunately for Moth. Pakshe gets himself a tile that can block that city. Completely or incompletely? Completely, actually, yeah. So if he goes here, then there are no daggers anymore. That fits this square after that move. And there are a bunch of other connections possible, making these squares not as vulnerable. I mean, vulnerable rather, not as safe. I wonder if the second meeple here was a bit extra, but it's kind of difficult to make a move. So if you place the meeple here, then all your opponent does is they take a curve and then unify your two farmers, and then this guy is sort of just a bit of a waste of a meeple. Luckily, black has multiple meeples in hand, and so does blue. Pakshe is still thinking with this Dorito tile, presumably wanting to thread the completion of this city. Ah, I see what the dilemma is. It's either blocking this guy or trying to complete his own city. Well, we can just count. There are only 6 tiles remaining, so it should be quite easy to figure out. And he decides that blocking is not even worth it. Is he correct? I don't think he is correct, because from Hydra's perspective, there are starting tiles. A threat to complete the blue city has been created. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 Dorito tiles available. Thank you, Napamai, for pointing out that there are no more big tiles available. So actually, blocking is a pretty easy endeavor. Yeah, and I think black was really going for that one famous movie, which is not more than one. Black continues their city, obstructing blue's city. Black gets blue's tile in any case. Now trying to get it completed, but he doesn't draw the city cap that fits there. Certainly some rough draws for the Taiwanese player. He could have managed to get these farmers early on, but then they didn't really develop that much. 9-point farmer for the main field, that's great. 12 field for another, that's great. 8-6. Well, yeah, but the 8-point farmer, the 6-point farmer is not scoring. So he has 21 points per meeple, which is 3 points per tile, which is really not that a lot. We can see the points being counted. It should be a win for Pakshe. Look at how close it is, actually. So Hydro still was preserving some threats. quite a long time into this game, was trying to complete a city and so on. It didn't look that close, to be honest. Kind of felt like Pakshe was scoring and scoring and scoring, but turns out with just some slightly improved tiles, Hydro could maybe hope for something. But as predicted, the more experienced Thai player now wins the first game. Let's see how Hydro responds. They respond by thinking whether they want to accept the match immediately or to have a break, and this allows us to update the scoreboard. So do we have a match yet? I believe we do. And it just started. The game has just started now. Pakshe with the starting player advantage, and the blue meeples. Meeples a 2-point road. Hydro with an immediate response. Going over there with a meeple that looks risky, but in fact it is the best move. You can see Pakshe not even bothering with any blocking ideas, just decides to take out the city cap as Hydro was already preparing a black meeple to take these 4 points from that city cap. Now what do? I guess you still want to go this, although you really hate to be prolonging your opponent's road like this. Like if only this tile were something like a dagger, then that would be a different question. At the very least, it would be exposing Blue's road end. But if you do this, then Blue's road is just perfect. I mean, you can do this, I guess, and add yourself a point directly. But it's not an immediate invasion, and in that case, Blue is simply the favorite to finish his city. Yeah, that's tough. That's really tough. So I wonder, is it crazy to go... Yeah, something like this, but I was thinking maybe at the bottom, starting a new city like this. Or no. Everybody missed the best move. I think here, starting a city like this, very safely, and then potentially building a loop. Yeah, road building is a tricky endeavor. Hydro now with a fantastic tile, but does he know how to use it? And he does. He of course does not meeple the city, but he pre-builds his road from one side, pre-completes it, and he also indirectly protects the other city of himself. As Blue would have gone over here and started a restriction, but Blue cannot do it. The best he can do is go here and maybe hope to equalize this road or do something with this road. By the way, if Pakshe could just magically place this and this tile, this already would be a good idea. Because having two meeples like this against a square which is pressing here is not ideal. Let's say if Black draws a city tile, gets a meeple back, then suddenly Blue can block this square from above and get rid of one of Black's meeples. If Blue goes here and then Black gets a straight line or something, then suddenly we can go here and start blocking a city meeple and so on. These are not dangerous or game decisive threats, but in situations like these, one of the sides can end up with a couple of meeples trapped. Pakshe with a curve. Is looking to do what exactly? Maybe trying to build up his road? Or just connect to Hydro's road. So the road of Pakshe is actually, first of all, it's short, so it's only 3 points. And it's more vulnerable because it has a sensitive square here. Black's road is worth more points. It is safer because this square is nowhere near as sensitive as that one, with a real blocking threat available created by Black on his last move. So that actually was a nice move. But yeah, and so since the quality of this road is inferior, you kind of actually want to join your two roads. It's a question that whether you do this or you do the other move. He chooses to go for this. Hydro continues his city. Pakshe with a straight line. And not many places to use it. So I guess he could go and build his own side of the road. But then black just gets a curve, and then black gets another road and takes it over. If I'm fighting for a big road, I want to have tempo on it. In blue's interests probably is just block everything and win the game with 6 points versus 0. What do you do? It's a very clunky tile. Obviously you can't meeple the road. Although I do see quite a straightforward move. Just here at the top. And you're attacking 2 squares of your opponent. You're exposing a platform for an attack or a block here, and you're exposing this monastery square. Typically, if you can play against 2 of your opponent's squares at the same time, it's a good move. And also one that is not that hard to find. Although, given the fact how many straight lines have gone out, this is already the 4th straight line in just over 10 tiles. Oh yeah, so a move that he might be considering is just going over here and meepling this road, which looks crazy because it is. But then with a curve or a straight line, he can suddenly invade the main road. Black chooses wildly and simply never goes that approach, but Pakshe finally with a chance to get himself some vengeance. Blocking. Whoops, I'm hallucinating. So for some reason, I just thought that this guy's a monk instead of a road meeple. And I thought, oh wonderful, we just go here and block the square, but it doesn't do anything. Because it's just a road. Yeah, wait, what do we do? It's such an awkward tile to place. There's no safe way to start a city. Regardless of where we start a city, we're going to get blocked. And it's about as good as it gets. But I think a potentially counterintuitive move was missed. I think it was actually stronger to meeple this 1 square to the left. It's not a big deal, and it ended up working out actually quite well for Pakshe, who completed his city and ended up having extra on the scoreboard. The idea of adding extra stuff to the field, that's very, very nice. Because, again, like Hydro can go here and expand the field and drop a farmer. But instead he chooses a block field, which also makes sense because he's threatening to get a crossroads, get himself a meeple back, and then maybe put pressure on this square and make sure that this blue meeple does not see the light of day. Easier said than done. Hydro, start a new city, obstruct blue's road. Blue has the chance to continue said road, but maybe continue another one instead. Yeah, going for the loop. Hydro. Not a very easy tile to play. He could in fact go here and just dump the tile. He makes a similar move. Tough to say which one's actually better. Yeah, and well, expert players will know that you really don't want to be adding the quadruple tile to your own city. Although this is actually not true. If you have a lot of meeples, it's a nice way to just start here and then self-invade like this and then build with support of multiple meeples. But the board is just not conducive to this. A city is continued, a threat is being created against this guy, and Pakshe with a straight line. Obviously he knows that he can do here. But he's trying to figure out if maybe going here is a little bit teeny tiny stronger because he gets to invade this city a little bit more. And he decides to indirectly continue the road and also set up the invasion square. Curvy tile. For hydrobaby. What does he do? I presume starting a road at the bottom makes sense. Instead, he goes for a blocking attempt, which is pretty interesting. Because there are only 2 straight lines remaining, if we can restrict that square toward a straight line, we can cause some trouble to this meeple. That's his game, I assume. Interestingly, how so many tiles have been drawn, but yet nothing special has happened. Kind of very, very slow start. In the first game, I sort of missed when it got exciting, although it kind of did. So both players just kind of making natural moves, scoring a little bit. Very, very quiet game. Note that a monastery has yet to be drawn. There are a couple of deceptively good looking spots. These 2 can develop quite rapidly. So there's a chunk with green squares. So neither player gets to claim an advantage, really. Pakshe has the scoreboard lead and 2 open city caps. Hydro with a more secure road and more focused city points. But it is now the Thai player's move, who's probably just wants to build. So I think this is the move that he will end up playing. It's actually not obvious, because he might play this, but when with a big tile, his city could get broken with only 2 dagger tiles remaining. So I know what the 2024 Mind Sports Olympiad gold medalist Kriškautis would play. He would do something like this. When you have 2 cities, why continue either of them? Just start a 3rd city. There would be some considerations how it could work, because then there would be a variety of blocking combos. And also, we have 4 meeples. It's really nice to have that luxury. Well, I think like a normal scoring move is the way to go. But it's really tempting to start playing against this square a little bit more. Blue is really trying to think this through. And he gets inspiration from Kriškautis, by the way, whom Pakshe defeated in December 2024 in the qualification cycle for the Carcassonne Champions League. Okay. Now, hydrobaby makes a move. How do I put it? An interesting move. So he restricts the square, leaving only 2 tiles. And there are 2 starting tiles that fit there. He could have also turned this tile the other way, also leaving only 2 tiles, leaving the 2 straight lines. I'm not sure which one is better. So on one hand, if your opponent gets a starting tile, you're forcing them to spend a starting tile in this place, and the starting tile is typically much more useful in a straight line and elsewhere. On the other hand, there's this nasty combination that blue is likely to draw. The starting tile plus the splitter like this for a 6-point city. So that's something to watch out for if you're black. But still, black finally with the first monastery of the game. Looking to meeple it for sure with 5 meeples remaining. This is the highest scoring spot on the board. The disadvantage of that is that it's blockable in one move with any of the city plus road tiles in the deck, which are in plentiful supply. The upside is that we get to attack this city. Maybe we get block it later. Hydro does not want to get blocked just yet. There's still 37 tiles remaining. It's a lot to play. Pakshe is going to continue his city, try to score some points. Hydro goes for a lovely 3-point move, which controls blue's meeple and also sets up multiple more monastery spots. This could be one of those positions where monasteries decide the game. Blue builds up his city. Black probably wants to do the same. It's not obvious exactly which orientation to choose. If you point, you know what, pointing up is kind of nice. Because then you get to finish your city and with tempo create an attacking platform against this square. Pakshe with a misstep here. I don't like that move strategically. When you're getting controlled by your opponent and you have another city open, it's typically better to finish that city first. This farmer here looks potent, but not really. It just helps with the monastery a bit too much. And look what happened. Now black picked up a city cap, and now black is threatening the greatest threat in Carcassonne, which is finishing a city and dropping a farmer like this, and just negating this farmer completely. So for a net exchange of 4 points in favor of black. And normally, blue would want to go here, which I think he should still do. But because of this threat, blue is considering sacrificing 4 points and doing this. And the reason why I still prefer going here and just accepting our little imprecision is because the field is nowhere near that big. But look at what happens. This farmer looks great, but it ends up really not doing all that much. Great move for Pakshe. He gets himself another farmer. He was thinking, okay, this project didn't work. Let's start another one. Also, let's start putting pressure on this square. He's also pre-covering up his road. There's still 2 starting tiles available for this square, which would not only prolong his road, that would also expand his field, and that would also make him more likely to get his meeple back eventually. Hydro's up 12 points somehow as a result of these quick cities. So blue would really need to catch up. But he has decent tiles to do this. Still available in the deck. He's now scoring 8 points for the city at the top. Now only -4 at the scoreboard. Now we're getting some juicier tiles. Now we're scoring. Now the game is gradually opening up. Pakshe with a monastery. That's exactly what you want to have when you're down 7 points on the scoreboard. But where do you go? Do you go for the highest scoring spot on the board, which is easily blockable, or do you go for a lower scoring spot, but you equalize your opponent's monastery? There's a third option, going over here, controlling Hydro City, but this square here is kind of vulnerable, so probably this is the superior choice. This move here would normally work, but with a different tile run out. The fact that 4 vanilla city caps have gone out make it really, really unlikely that we're going to successfully complete this monastery, and we're not quite at the stage of the game when we should start meepling monasteries with no intention of completing them. Completing them is not a must, but you know, they should have decent equity of getting completed. And the reason why this looks quite good is because black will be incentivized to build the part of the monastery for us, and this is exactly the move that has been played. Hydro with a monastery of his own, and a ton of choices. The classic, of course, is just to go here for stacking. This would make this square a little bit vulnerable. This could give him some chance of getting blocked, which with his lead on the scoreboard would really not be such a big deal. His 8-point monastery, when built up, could almost equalize Pakshe's 9-point field, so black would still be ahead. What else can black do? Actually, going here is really powerful. But instead he simply takes 2 points and does not meeple monastery, which I think is a bit unambitious. So I can understand this move, and sometimes I play moves like these myself. I don't always meeple monasteries, contrary to what I say on stream and contrary to my reputation. But his leads just feels a little bit too flimsy, and you really want to have the monastery as a scoring tool, because Pakshe is now building stuff. So I have no doubt that a tile is going to go here. And he's going to create the threat of a lip-shaped city. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3 Dorito tiles, plus 1 splitter. Actually, I forgot about this one, so there are 2 Dorito tiles and 1 splitter to finish that city. This is not a lot. It will still give enough time for a Hydro to try and build up and attack that city a little bit. But there are also a couple of triple city tiles available, and by a couple I mean 1. Yeah, you look at this is great already. Like Hydro's kind of panicking a little bit, so a monastery which is used in that square is just fantastic. Because normally monasteries are used for scoring. Instead, he's kind of trying to frantically invade this city. So that's really a strategic gain. By the way, also imagine if only Hydro were to have gone here. And then here with the monastery, just look at that scoring machine that he drew. That scoring machine could even outrun the completion of this city. But now that he forwent one monastery, it actually makes more sense to forgo the other. Because it's a roadless monastery, there's less flexibility as to where it could be placed. So it would score even less than that one. Plus, of course, it's nice to drop a farmer, trying to connect through one of the many curves, and also sets up a platform for blocking or invading. Pakshe has a strong move. Remember I told you about this splitter plus starting tile pattern. Now it's time to cash in. We go over here and we just leave this alone. And then we try get a tile that goes here. And score 6 points for the city. But I think he's considering something different based on his timing. He's considering doing something quite similar, but it's for fewer points. Going here and meepling this 6-point field and then hoping to get the starting tile to invade from here to here. But he does go for the setup afterwards. Oh, but look at this Hydro with the farmer here. Just in time. What a move from the Taiwanese player. But you know what Pakshe can do? Pakshe really wants to draw like a vanilla city cap or something like this. Because he gets to go here and drop a farmer. So that when this square is filled, and it will be filled by one of the players, I'm thinking. In the meantime, black has to invade blue's city. Even though there's only one tile remaining that fits into the square, the threat of that city is simply too big. But anyway, my idea, right? We go here and drop a farmer. And then when this tile is drawn, through the north part of that tile, the black meeple invades here as planned. But through the south part, the blue meeple invades here. I really love these patterns where like the same tile completes 2 different invasions for 2 different fields in 2 directions. But it's quite difficult to set up because in this leftmost field there's only 1 square. And that square is quite severely restricted, so we need the last Dorito or something like this. In the meantime, Hydro's building up his city. We don't get to drop a farmer in time, but we don't get to complain as blue. Thank you, Wise Mates, for correcting me that there are still 2 tiles that left to fit into this square. Look at this, and Pakshe suddenly had on the scoreboard. Well, this farmer is super menacing. But it's actually quite easy to equalize. What we need to do as blue is simply drop a farmer here and do nothing. First of all, it's a 3-point field, potentially a 6-point field in its own right. And second, if black chooses to connect, he will also bring this hypothetical meeple in. So yeah, so we don't even need to try and block everything. We just need to equalize. That should be pretty easy to do. Well, now it's a bit tricky to do because it's not our turn. It's his black's turn. What do we do as black? Well, really not much. We probably get to score 2 points, but we need to shape the board to our liking, and an excellent, excellent find by black. It's not just 2 points, it's also an elimination of a farming platform. And the farming platform, of course, benefits the player who has more meeples, and that is blue. So it was a very, very easy invasion square. Now it is almost impossible to invade this shared 12-point field on the right. I guess the only reasonable way to do so is to go here and drop a farmer, but there are not many city tiles left to begin with. Well, maybe something like a cow plus a curve could work well. Pakshe now forgoes a monastery, which I think makes me surprised a little bit. I'm not a fan of this move necessarily. Again, I think that he's panicking a bit too much about this city. I don't think this city is game decisive. There are many scenarios where we actually can afford the completion of that city if we just get to score enough. So for example, what are some moves? I mean, we of course can go here and try to keep obstructing that square, right? We could go here and try to equalize that farmer finally, which has been a menace for many, many moves, just not managing to draw a curve. But yes, 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 content, content, content. This was the move that I was thinking of. Dropping a farmer, which is difficult to block. It has many connection tiles. This field is worth 15 points. Hydro has to use the cow tile at the top. Pakshe with another dagger cannot claim this 8-point city, but somebody can claim this 8-point city still. The Thai player is still ahead on the scoreboard. Is it time to go here now finally? Like, my nerves, my nerves! They ain't gonna handle this. How many more times can we dodge a curve? Black is threatening to go here so hard. And then what we do, it takes time to reinvade. We might not have the time because we need to take care of the stuff at the bottom. But maybe blue decides that this city here is going to be game decisive and he wants to block it no matter what. But I don't think we should block it no matter what. Yep, he goes for the equalization and a little field of himself. The reason why I don't think it should be blocked no matter what is because there's still plenty of city caps available, so it's very difficult to do. And second, now black has a dilemma. Of course, it's a nice dilemma to have. Do we score 8 points? Or do we finish our city? Or maybe, wait. Or do we go here? If we go here, that would be a complete block of this square, because as I told you earlier, this is the last vanilla city cap tile. There are no monasteries of any kind. So this would be a complete block of the invasion. But Hydro decided that the city simply scores too much. He's now also going to drop a farmer. He's thinking about it, but the farmer here is good. The reason for that is because somebody's going to score 4 points for this little city with an umbrella tile still available. And then black gets to draw a straight line or something like this, or something similar, and get this 6-point field. Yeah, I think maybe a missed opportunity here. Yeah, and look, now Hydro can still score, right? His points. But then because there's no farmer here, blue can, whoops, swoop in and meeple even some more fields. Blue, in the meantime, successfully took over the 15-point field. But it does not necessarily mean that not blocking was a mistake. I think the main reason why black didn't want to use this tile for blocking is because there was still the other route possible through the other side, if I'm not mistaken. I am mistaken. Actually, there aren't any city caps that fit into this square, other than, of course, a splitter tile. But a splitter tile goes like this, and actually does not allow the farmer to enter the field. Well, there's some very convoluted routes, like brum, bum, 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 which were available but were quite unlikely. So maybe for black, blocking the square was in fact the way to go. He's now thinking a lot, clearly not liking that blue has the majority on a 15-point field, which, despite having many green squares, is actually completely closed. Or not completely. There's one sneaky invasion platform, and there's even a high prob invasion platform. It just requires a very particular tile. Okay, farmer is dropped by Hydro, but it's the easiest farmer in the world to equalize. I mean, Pakshe just goes here and drops his own, right? That should be pretty straightforward. Or Pakshe can even do one better. He can go here and drop a farmer. But I think it's a bit of a too high variance move. So he's, of course, setting up a move which scores 4 points for the road and brings 2 of the blue meeples together with this black meeple. But then he accepts that if his opponent gets both remaining curves, then he just loses the game. There's not a big chance of that happening, but it's a substantial chance. And also by ignoring this here square, it actually allows Hydro to go here and drop a farmer and then go for the same idea on this side. So probably just going here was more precise. There are some reasons why he didn't want to do it. Hydro now scores 8 points for a city in his opponent's field, which is going to net him 5 points. But Pakshe gets himself the curvy tile and the 4 extra points. And connects into another field. So now he has a majority on 2 fields. But Hydro has, I think, a 33% chance to win the game. He can go here. Wait, but that won't be a win. That won't be a win. There's still one curve. But if Hydro goes here and equalize as he should, then Pakshe has many moves. First of all, he can just ignore everything and score 7 points. And then the field on the left will be tied. 3 black meeples, 3 blue meeples. And the field on the right still belongs to Pakshe, and the field on the right is outscoring the scoreboard difference, because it now has 6 completed cities for 18 points. Oh, I missed something. I missed the number of meeples. I kind of forgot about this black guy here. So we are playing 50-50 for the game, and Hydro is going to connect. And it looks like he's just going to win. Just as simple as that. .15 field on the left, 18-point field on the right. And 8 points is the final advantage for the tie player. Yeah, I keep going over here. And also, like, I'm reading the chat, 4 black. What does 4 black mean? Oh, 4 black meeples, right, yeah. Thank you, Wiseman and Hugo. Well, this is... Oh, I must have missed a 7th city somewhere. I really missed a lot of things. In any case, Hydro wins this. Had only a 1 in 3 chance before the final tile. But ultimately, this move did the job. Yeah, and I think actually this move here by Pakshe was the one which caused the issue. Just going over here would have made it harder for Hydro to win. The reason for this is as follows. So there are these two crucial invasion spots, right? One on the left and one on the top. And Pakshe took the one invasion spot, which needs exactly a crossroads. So you can't do this with a normal row tile. You need a crossroads, and there were two of those remaining. But this spot on the left can be used with any row tile, and so he just went with a straight line. So if there were a blue meeple here, then black would have actually found it difficult to find a tile to go here. In fact, he would not have done this because both crossroads were drawn by blue. And black would have needed to do something else. For example, black might have needed to go over here and drop a farmer. But then, if black connects here, then suddenly blue does not even have to place a curve over here. That's the thing. So then regardless of how black drops his farmer, he would need to draw not one curve, but two curves in order to win. Yeah, I have been missing many things today, but this part of my analysis I'm fairly confident in. I'm waiting to be proven wrong in the chat. But if we want to make this instructive, then typically with fields, with big field fights, you want to first of all take the highest prob invasion spot and then think about others. Great points, Hugo. The fields connection on the left had a mini battle 6 points versus 3 points. Yeah, so this guy here is scoring 6, and this guy here was scoring 3. So it was actually not in blue's interest for these two farmers to penetrate the field. I'm gonna tell you something extra though. This is also very, very cool. Have a look at this. So imagine this situation, curve's not here. Then here is a blue meeple, right? Then black realizes that he needs to equalize. Black gets a farmer here. But then, with this umbrella tile, blue can suddenly go here, score 7 points, and if he so chooses, create a threat to reinvade and overrun the field again. And then simply Hydro does not have enough curves in the deck to overrun the field again. So yep. I think we got this position clear. Quite interesting, and also very, very slow game for a long time. Also, why are they not starting their decider? A very, very slow game, because like the city caps were not being drawn, the monasteries were not being drawn. But then towards the end, city cap, score, huge farm, and then over 100 points for both players. I really love those games, because many players just lose vigilance. But if you ever see slow starts, just you need to remember that all the juicy tiles are still in the deck. Eventually they're going to be drawn. Yes, great point, Hugo. At the bottom there also was another mini battle, which actually could end up game decisive, because let's say if this is not placed, hypothetical blue meeple here, 3 points, very real black meeple, 0 points. So 3 extra points here, 3 extra points here. If the fields don't get connected, then Pakshe can even outrun Hydro without any substantial field fights. All right. Time for our decider. The table has been created. Pakshe needs to accept. Maybe he needs a couple minutes break. Yeah, if I miss an endgame, then I typically want to take a couple of minutes break to avoid tilting. But we also don't know if he actually saw his alternative path to win. But in any case, there are plenty of reasons to be tilted. Even with the moves in the game, black had a 1 in 3 chance of winning towards the end, which of course is a relatively large chance. But whenever your opponent has a chance less than 50% and your opponent wins, it very often leads to some frustration. And to be honest, I haven't played with Pakshe enough in tournaments. In fact, I've only played casual games, so I don't know how they're doing with the mental aspect. I know that they are generally keen on learning and stuff, and they tend to be normally like quite lighthearted in communication, so I don't think they're particularly the type of person to tilt. But one's behavior in tournaments could be very much different from casual games. Alright, the decider was made with the wrong settings apparently, so it will need to be restarted. Hydro now climbing to an even rating of 650 after this. And apparently I have 30 seconds time to get myself some hot liquid, so I'll be right back. Alright, time to check if they have started. And yes, they have. Hydro, with the starting player advantage, already converted into 6 points on the scoreboard. Pakshe starts a new city now, is looking to continue it, deciding whether to point the city upwards or downwards, or maybe neither. Maybe starting a second city is also okay here. I would do it, but the one thing that I wouldn't like about this move is leaving back the 3-point road. So probably pointing upwards is the way to go, although we sometimes get blocked there and it's kind of unpleasant, but it happens like 5% of the time, something like this. He does go for the new city, so he is really gone for the principle of 2 and 3 and 4 cities. Maybe learning a bit from his former adversary in the qualification cycle, Krishkautis. Hydro immediately invades said city. So my suggested move would have worked better. This does not mean that it was actually better. Like, Pakshe's move is perfectly sound. He's now going to finish his city, catch up on the scoreboard a little bit, and now it's a game. Hydro with the starting tile looking to start a new city. That's why it's called the starting tile. He also happens to take out a monastery spot in the process. There are some negative scenarios from this, like a quadruple city tile and a Dorito combo can make this city blocked toward this square like this. It's not a likely occurrence, but it's sometimes that happens when you start a city, particularly with a starting tile. Hydro immediately gets out of harm's way and more points on the scoreboard. Pakshe with a splitter tile, looking to start a new city. There's no perfectly safe space to do that, but either of these moves seem fine to me. I wonder, is it crazy to just play weirdly one time and use the splitter as a splitter? It looks like a bit of a waste, which it probably is. But one interesting thing that it does, it sort of threatened to get like a cow tile or something like this, and then to block 2 of black's meeples towards this square. Imagine like we get a cow and we get a Dorito like this, and we connect those 2 meeples to this blocked square. Everything here is blocked. And when we make out alive and when we get ourselves 8 points. No. We get an extender and another extender. And okay, there's no more extenders, but we get this tile and this tile and this tile, and then we get 20 points here. This is sometimes how I daydream when I play Carcassonne. You know, these opportunities, they add like 1% extra points to your win. Now, of course, it's not a good idea to just hope for that outcome, but to make sure that it could possibly happen, why not? Wisemaze is asking, why did black put the starting tile instead of here instead of at the top? Yeah, the answer is to eliminate monastery spot, basically. So the city is a bit less safe, but then it's harder. It's actually much harder to meeple any monasteries on the board, unless it's a road monastery. Which still, by the way, is going to be a huge tile. It's going to open up the field a lot, unless somebody places a cow here. You know, you don't think of cows as tiles that you need, but here, as blue, I would really be screaming cow, cow, cow. And we're trying to ring some alpine bells. Oh, wow! He goes for it! He really wants to try and do it! Like, I don't think it's actually, like, objectively the best move. He's probably better off just targeting a new city, but I love the idea of the threat. Hydro has to be super annoyed about this. Like, how do you respond? I guess you just start blocking your opponent's city. You just go here. How annoying is that? Okay, he does not get a blocking tile. He gets a restriction tile, though. And I have a feeling that he's really married to that idea. He's going to go here. Oh, he's going to go here. He's not going to take any of the roads. And actually for good reason, because all of these roads are vulnerable. If you take this 4-point road, you get blocked at the top. If you get this 4-point road, you get your city blocked. And you also get this square blocked. So actually in this position, this move really makes a lot of sense. Some dagger tiles have gone out. Some starting tiles have gone out. And if our opponent has like a regular Dorito or something like this, they can be in real trouble. Oh, it's going to be such a fun game. Hydro cannot do anything. He can score, but obviously he doesn't want to go here because these 2 points will be absolutely not worth it, as he will be even further compromising the safety of his meeple. Hydro makes the only reasonable move for 0 points, but trying to open up a blocking square against Pakshe. Pakshe with a city cap. He might be tempted to go here, but I think at this point we really wait for that cow. There's so many cows, there's so many Doritos, we just wait for it. We actually just finished our city here, I think, because it's also kind of relatively vulnerable. Okay, he starts a new one, which makes a lot of sense. Hydro with a dagger tile. Timely. And also, like, why is he not placing it there immediately? Is he slow rolling? Is he gloating? So I think this is a great illustration why blocking does not work in opening. Although, points for creativity. Love the idea by Pakshe. Just end up not working. Hydro, with a couple of strong moves, could just finish his city, but there's one move which I like a lot. Going over here. Oh, so close! So close! A bit impressive. Okay, that's fine. We can do this too. Maybe that's actually even better than what I thought. So the idea of this move, it actually threatens some city connections and some blocks. And now look at this. The blocker becomes the blockee. Pakshe tried so hard to block his opponent that he ended up being blocked himself. Oh, you could not have even scripted this better. He now gets some meeples back. He will be having 6 points for this guy, so this is something. But Hydro now with yet another dagger that frees up one more meeple. Eventually, these fields are going to be united, and the meeple advantage, the long-term meeple advantage of the Thai player is going to be felt. Hydro with probably more farming moves, like here or something, that'll be annoying for Pakshe. And that's why we see the Thai player goes for the scoring approach. He kind of realizes, you know what, I have a meeple blocked for 6 points. And in order to compensate for that, plus the scoreboard difference, I need to score with such features that give me a meeple back. So he goes for the monastery with the clear intention of drawing another monastery and getting himself a combo for 18 points. Ideally, of course, he also wants to go here and drop a farmer beforehand, because it's going to be a big field. Hydro builds up his city in a vulnerable way. There's only one dagger tile remaining, so this square is super sensitive. Could result in a block. What does Hydro do? Probably move like this is very strong. Putting some pressure on this guy. A farmer at the top is a bit too early, but maybe an option. He goes for the farmer, and a 9-pointer for Pakshe, who's now ahead on the scoreboard again. Hydro with a scoring tile. At this point, it's probably not the worst idea to go here and take 4 points and slightly obstruct your meeple, simply to prevent this sort of pattern where your meeple gets obstructed even more. An alternative move is going over here for just 2 points and trying to put more pressure against this square, taking advantage that we're really running out of crossroads. Going here is not necessarily the worst, but it is harder to block this monastery. He does actually a decent move. He scores nets 2 points, but he makes it impossible to complete the monastery with another monastery, or another field monastery rather. And now at this point, this is the moment where Pakshe should sacrifice points, that is. This move just looks way too juicy. It breaks the city in quite a profound manner, leaving only one tile that fits into the square, eliminating all kinds of threats. And it seems to be stronger than just taking 2 points here. I generally love taking points, but this is just beauty. If you're blue. It is quite unpleasant if you're black. While he's thinking about this, I'm gonna go and just real quick check on my hot liquids. It shouldn't take more than 15 seconds. And the blocking move has been made. The only issue that he was thinking about was the orientation of this move. And I believe a mild imprecision. Yeah, precisely because of this. This defense is, of course, quite unpleasant. But you know what? No biggie. No biggie at all. There is anyway only one tile remaining that fits into the square. And blue could just win the coin flip. Yeah, but mainly the reason why you want to be turning the tile the other way is the fact that this move allowed, well, not necessarily this is just extremely fortunate, of course, to get the starting tile like this. This allowed many indirect defense tiles, mainly the extenders. The extenders would be super unpleasant here because they would restrict this blocking square by quite a lot. We of course know that Hydro had some sort of defense tile no matter what. Pakshe gets himself a meeple back, renews himself the scoreboard lead. Hydro, quick 3 points for a road. Straight line. For the Thai player who is looking to go on the fields, but there's no productive way to do so. If you go here, which is a very good invasion, it makes your own city meeple a little bit more vulnerable, which is not great. You could go here actually and then sort of put some pressure on this square or maybe poke at this farm. But then this could lead into all fields united, which is not favoring blue necessarily. But you know what? Now that this city has been restricted, it will be waiting a long time to get that tile. And this means that meeple-wise, the players are pretty much equal. So Pakshe decided that he does not mind himself a big field. Now Hydro's going to be thinking, is it worth blocking this square? Is this here farmer scoring enough? There's of course the option of getting a road monastery and connecting the field like these. But maybe if he manages to block this first, then he can get something like a starting tile and block this square as well. What does exactly Hydro do here? Maybe going here? Starting a new city? Is that crazy? Trying to build up an 8-point or a 10-point like this? I actually kind of like it. Instead he goes for a blocking move, which also makes a lot of sense. Trying to play against that monastery with many Doritos and cows remaining. Pakshe could make an all-in move. Going here and dropping a farmer. This would accomplish the indirect defense, allowing way fewer tiles that fit into the square to block this monastery, and then hoping to get a curve, finish the monastery and connect to the field. The problem with this move is, if unsuccessful, it loses the game on the spot. This farmer could get blocked for 0 points. So I don't think he can pull the trigger on it. As for going without a meeple, I don't like it necessarily, because he has his own problems here, and we're short on crossroads, and this meeple could be lost eventually. Wait! This is the last crossroads. So how about no, Pakshe, wait! I was saying something. Yeah, whatever. But this is the last crossroads, so he could have gone here and dropped a farmer like this and hoped for a curve to get 4 points and connect to the field with 2 meeples at once. That would have been fun. And with 7, so he would do it in the previous games with 2 curves remaining. He wouldn't do it in this game with 7 curves remaining. So he kind of takes a more peaceful approach, but not a fun approach. Hydro is now 6 points behind on the scoreboard. He has the meeple majority and the field control, so overall good position. And now a fantastic tile, but let's see if he chooses to meeple the monastery. He does. This monastery is blockable in 1 move. But Pakshe cannot do that because he needs to finish his stuff, get a meeple back. 15-point lead on the scoreboard. Great tile for Hydro. Has 2 options. He can either go here and pre-finish his city and simply bank on drawing the dagger tile, or he can go here and block the invasion of this farmer. Then blue will need to settle for this invasion here, or even better, blue can get something like a straight line and drop a farmer like this and connect with a curve. This is such an interesting position. It seems that all useful tiles are curves. Curves fit so well in so many places, like curve, 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 invasion via curve, like here as well. Another incredibly interesting decision for Pakshe. The highest scoring move is, of course, this, which I'm really inclined to do now. I think I'm changing my plans. I'm going over here. I'm keeping the field relatively small, and I'm trying to simply score, score, score. So this is my move of choice. Another move, which is really not bad, is just to sacrifice the monastery tile for the sake of blocking. You go here and that's it. There are no more daggers remaining, so this square will be permanently blocked. He decided that it is worth more. I agree. There were some other moves available, such as going over here for 4 points, although I don't like, and probably the Time Master didn't like what it did to the board. Hydro with a scoring tile. Simply gets himself the farming majority. That's interesting. There are many, many ways how it could be somewhat controversial. Pakshe now with a meeple advantage. Finishes a city, drops a farmer, intending to connect through Black City, essentially. Black takes himself 4 quick points. Exposes another platform for a field connection. Pakshe gets a scoring tile. The high scoring move is here for 3 points. It does obstruct his monastery a little bit. It gives back a potential lip-shaped city. But he does this anyway because points, points, points. 18 points extra. Now Hydro has the chance to an incredibly powerful move. If I'm Hydro, my favorite move... Well, actually, we can make a normal move like this, dropping a farmer here. I think that's strong enough. But there's one which I like a bit more. Here. Farmer. And then we get one of the 6 remaining straight lines to go here and score a 6-point road and enter the field. But this is just a solid. It's the best farming platform, and you just take care of the best farming platform. Why not do that, says Hydro. And then Pakshe with an 18-point lead on the scoreboard. You can really keep it flexible. You can sort of kind of fight for the field. And then if the field doesn't grow too big, you still have plenty of chances to win fieldlessly. So I don't think we go out on the field just yet. Blue starts a new city at the bottom, obstructing Black City a little bit. We're actually kind of running short on city caps, on city plus field city caps in particular, with all 5 splitters already gone. Well, I know what he wants to do. His mind is telling him no, but his finger's already on the mouse. The cursor is pointing here. He wants to try and go here and block this meeple towards a 50-50. There's only one starting tile available. And maybe he wants to hope that either he gets the starting tile himself, in which case this meeple is going to be trapped, or given the fact that there's still 6 straight lines, it could be actually quite easy to block this meeple permanently. We need some sort of judgment on this. It's really tricky, but I hate adding a shielded tile to my opponent, but I think we gotta do it. I think the upside is way, way too much. We gotta do it. But then you know what? The issue with this, if our opponent gets a defense tile, then they get a curve. And then in addition to us giving them 4 points, we also give them this 6-point road. That is just ginormous. But he does this anyway. Hydro does not get a defense tile. Not a very good tile because he now needs to make a decision. And he made it pretty quickly. So a successful block. It's a huge deal for the Thai player. And again, the reason why this move worked, the reason why he played it, is because of those 6 straight lines. Just because there were so many blocking tiles available and fewer defense tiles. Hydro builds up his city/ruin. Blue thinking whether it's worth fighting for a field. The answer, I think, is not yet. Because these old platforms, they're a bit blockable. So he simply takes 2 points. Gives back a chance for Hydro to score. Straight line. For blue. Looking to perhaps continue his monastery, setting up a completion with a curve. It's not the juiciest, but it's okay. This move is interesting. It completes a connection which I think could have been delayed. I would have probably preferred maybe blocking this square. This square. But then we're running so short on city cap tile that we might actually not even have to block this. In fact, there's no city cap tile that fits here. None at all. There's some other tiles, of course, such as the cow or the Dorito, but it's not as potent as some quick 4 points. So very nice tile counting on the part of Pakshe, realizing that this is not a particular threat. Another straight line. I wonder, do we go here and drop a farmer? Trying to connect through our opponent's city? Disincentivizing them from building that city further? Or is it time to go here and drop a farmer ourselves? Trying to connect like this? It's not an impossible connection. There's still curves. There's still monasteries. I kind of like it. Of course, if our opponent draws something like a Dorito tile, that could spell a bit of a disaster because that's going to block the square permanently. But what are the odds of him having a Dorito tile right now? It's 1 in 16. Maybe we can take a 1 in 16 chance of losing. High sparkled horsey. At the moment, my main concern for blue would be simply scoring, because I really want to... Like, this 17 points is a bit of an awkward lead. Because, like, the field is a bit bigger. So, at the moment, if you don't tie the field, the scoring is kind of useless. If there were a way to maybe go for this standard monastery setup, then we can score enough for us not to need the field. But we're not quite there. Because our opponent has the ruins. We have only the slightly bigger monastery. Like these... Well, I guess we also have the ruins, yeah, but... Our opponent still has the threat of completing that city. Wait, no they don't! I realized something, why this move was so smart. It wasn't just a field connection, it was a city block. Because there's no city cap that goes here. Yeah, there's an extender and there's a Dorito. But if those are drawn, then the next square can be blocked later, and case in point. A starting tile does not fit there. Neither does it fit here. If Hydro feels like gambling a little bit, he can go here. But he does not. Pakshe gets himself a city tile. Is it time to just add yourself 2 points? Or is it time to invade? But interesting choice of invasion, leaving himself only 2 tiles to do so. The 2 monasteries. But why simply not go here and invade safer? We will find out soon enough. As black is trying to block that square, and blue is trying to indirectly defend. We now also know where blue stands in terms of his win condition. The good thing for blue, if he goes for a field equalization, he can actually afford to burn 1 farmer. Because of his scoreboard lead, he does not need to keep scoring in case he equalizes the field. So his 2 meeples basically give him 2 attempts. I think the reason why blue didn't want to go over here is because there's this 1 road Dorito that could go here and block the field invasion. But what blue gotta do is kind of count their overall chance of invasion, as they quite predictably get blocked over here. Whereas if they were to connect to the top, they would not be blocked yet. But that's okay, no panic. No panic. We just gotta invade some more. But not now, you see? If you're gonna invade like this at the top, you gotta do this earlier, because now the probabilities are worse. If we go here, because one of the curve was drawn, our opponent can go here with the curve and block us permanently. Or they get to go here with the Dorito tile and block us permanently. So there are more tiles that accomplish a permanent block. So that is a problem. Pakshe is 20 points on the scoreboard though ahead. And the main field, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is 21, so it's fairly close. If this square is added, it's going to be 24. Also note that this ruin is getting quite juicy for 7 points. I'm a bit surprised why no tiles went there. I wonder if it's a crazy idea to go here as Pakshe and just simply try and get a meeple back and win. No, he just takes a bit of a stalling move. I'm not sure what this move does for the shape of the board, really not that much. He kind of needs to be going around creating field connection opportunities, it seems, which is easier said than done. Hydro with a scoring tile. Looks like the easiest 3 points ever. He might be thinking of some sort of a spatial move, maybe going over here, eliminating a field connection opportunity, but I don't think he has the luxury to do that. With a good run out of tiles, particularly with this dagger, Pakshe can still outrun his opponent without a field. Hydra with the scoring tile. If he just scores, he's at +7, right? I trust what you're writing in the chat. This field really has just only 2 viable connection platforms, here and here. And we're running out of tiles for field connection. But actually, Pakshe has a pretty easy route to win the game without, like, you know what he needs to draw in order to win? Any curve or the last Dorito. Because they go here and set up the 2 monasteries, and it's an 8-point sequence, and that's enough. Because he doesn't actually need to connect to the field. Or maybe towards the end, if he needs to connect to the field, he can just go here and try to connect through this dagger, which surprisingly has not yet been drawn. I love when one of the key tiles is not drawn until the end of the game, and so you keep thinking. 3 points is indeed the move by Hydro, so he decides not to go for farmers. He simply wants to create that scoring buffer. Pakshe with a lovely tile. You really wished this meeple was just a couple pixels higher, wouldn't it? Here, right? On the 7th point ruin. That sure would have been juice, eh? Alright, Pakshe, is that the time? Do we go here? Our opponent has 2 blocking tiles, which is really not great, and then we lose the game on the spot. If we go here, then we sort of keep ourselves 5 points. So we're within range. Then we can maybe score, but we really need to set up that monastery really soon if we want to score. But then also, if a dagger is drawn, then the field is bigger. He does not want to invade just yet. Hydro with a monastery tile. Is it crazy for Hydro to go here? Eliminating one of the platforms? Yeah, it is a bit crazy because it's gonna give a meeple back to Pakshe, who can use it to score here. This field is so closed. Five extra points is what Hydro is enjoying right now. What he's not enjoying is the time on his clock, dwindling down to 15 seconds. Will you notice? Will we see a lost on time? Please don't end like this. 6, 5. That was close. Pakshe thinking of maybe going for the invasion, but he can't really. I guess he kind of now needs to go and set up the monastery. Yep, this is exactly what he does. Hydro gets himself an extra point. Pakshe gets a load of scoring stuff. But that was way too fast. He should have counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't think that's enough. Hydro can outscore him. I think Hydro can outscore him. Maybe the move that he had to play is to actually go here and try for the dagger. Like that. For the 1 in 3 chance. Because the idea of connecting to the farmer through here was still open. Now, I'm not counting the points myself. I'm trusting y'all, so... Hydro now thinking. But I think if he just finishes this monastery, if he just meeple this monastery, he's good. 5 points, that should be enough. The ruin was 8. He should be like only 2 behind. Well, he scores 0 points. By the way, Pakshe would have drawn the dagger. But what is the tile that Hydro was hoping for if not for the monastery? And what was exactly wrong with 5 points? So of course a tile is going to be placed in one of the cities. And Hydro is going to get fewer points. He's going to get 4 instead of 5. Of course, he's going to score a little bit, and that's fine. He is going to get himself this tile over here. So 1 point mistake, ain't no big deal. And we're going to see the points counted. Pakshe saying GG. Suggesting that the G is maybe not so G for him. Let's see what the final score is. 9 points for the ruin looks solid. 5 points for the other ruin looks also solid. No. No! You gotta be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. It is a tie. And as a result, Pakshe wins this match because he was the second player. Moreover, it ends with a gigantic blunder because if Hydro were to just place his highest scoring move for 5 points, he would be winning this game plus 1 point no matter what. So both players, in fact, exchanging blunders. Because Pakshe going for an endgame which was unwinnable. Regardless of a run out of tiles after this ruin, he should be losing by 1 point. Here's why. There are two scenarios. Either Hydro draws the monastery, in which he gets to score 5 points and outrun the ruin, or Pakshe draws the monastery. Oh, actually, yeah, okay. If Pakshe draws the monastery, then actually that favors him. No, but this is also not true. If Pakshe draws the monastery, then Hydro gets the dagger to get himself a 6-point move, a 9-point move actually, even bringing in these farmers. So in fact, Pakshe with this move was only winning with the dagger and Hydro's mistake. So what Blue should have done is recognized he only had a 1 in 3 chance and just going over here for a farm. Dropping like this. And what Black should have done is like literally his highest scoring move. That's it. Just a normal scoring move. Yeah, because if you place the monastery like this, you need to think. Even if you're shorter in time, even if you don't know what the last tile is, if you have a 5-point monastery in a situation like this, you got to realize that there is not going to be a move greater with 5 points with any of this tile that you can imagine. Road monastery, whatever that. Okay, road monastery obviously would be the same, but like there isn't just nothing. I think he was maybe thinking of getting a dagger and then meepling this 5-point road. But why meeple a 5-point road if you have a 5-point monastery? So just a little tip, like if you are in time trouble, you don't necessarily need to calculate everything. You could just logically figure out, or even intuitively look at the monastery like 5 points, I'm not getting more, and you just go with it, and that's it. So yeah, rather a tragic ending with a blunder, but such is Carcassonne. Like this, even at an expert level, everybody gets in time trouble, everybody gets nervous. And Pakshe, the least time trouble, the least nervous. And as a result, they are eliminating hydrobaby in the most painful manner possible and advancing in the next round to play against Ukraine's Samuelsson. Well, I hope this was entertaining. It's very nice when things end dramatically that way in other people's matches. And we congratulate all our Thai fans and commiserations to all our Taiwanese fans, but still was a decent run. Managed to even defeat Vladimir Kovalov in a match. That's something to tell his grandkids. Not many people can tell that. So we're saying goodbye to hydrobaby and we're wishing Pakshe the best of luck in the former round. We have 2 more matches today. I still am not sure if I'm streaming the 1700 UTC match of StatMat against, who is he playing? MTU. That should be a banger, but if there is going to be a stream, it's going to be a very short notice, like half an hour notice perhaps. And then I'm definitely streaming at 2100 UTC Leo Da Vinci against Crocodile Fundy. So we're gonna see each other there. Make sure to maple the like button for the algorithm. That is important. That helps a lot. And subscribe for more competitive Carcassonne content like this. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon.